A little boy named Hinnant was executed by a 25-year-old man. A lot of people were angry that the story was getting no mainstream news coverage. Yet we see things like the Covington kids get national coverage from all these big newspapers. It led to a massive outcry. People were livid, and for good reason. A lot of people felt there was a strong racial component to it. Hinnant was a 5-year-old white child, and the man who killed him was a 25-year-old black man. The idea being pushed by many was that if the narrative was inverted, it would be a national story. There was an online protest, I guess you could call it, say his name, and it resulted in finally news outlets covering the story, and it resulted in hundreds of thousands of dollars being raised for Hinnant's family. It is a horrifyingly tragic story, and I'm really sad to hear about it. But there are memes popping up now from the left, which I find absolutely confusing. Why would anyone attack people who are trying to raise awareness for a little boy who was killed? It's the weirdest thing. And there are memes, and these meme things that are popping up in comics make literally no sense, and it is blind to what the conservatives have actually been arguing about. I want to debunk a couple of these memes for you, and then I want to talk about Breonna Taylor. The issue we have here is that there's no argument. We're calling for justice. Why would anyone attack someone else for doing so? Especially from the left. The left likes to say, just because we say Black Lives Matter doesn't mean we don't think that all lives don't matter. We are just focused on this particular issue. If that were true, why would they make the same assumption about a little boy who lost his life? Using false arguments and straw man arguments. Let's do this. Let's debunk this fake news. And then I've actually got an optimistic call for unity. I want to show you some interesting things, and I want to talk about justice for Breonna Taylor. This, to me, I think can be unifying for everybody, and we could actually, maybe have an understanding. Take a look at this comic. In this comic, there's a guy in a MAGA hat. He says, "What about this boy who was killed? Where are the protests for him?" And there's a little dog, for some reason, who says, "Did they catch the guy who did it?" The MAGA man says yes. "Did they arrest and charge him?" The MAGA man says immediately. "Is he going to jail?" The MAGA man says forever. The dog replies, "So what would we need to protest for?" And the MAGA man is shocked into silence because they don't actually understand what conservatives were upset about. Conservatives were upset that when a kid standing on the stairs of the Lincoln Memorial is confronted by a Native American, the media attacked the kid. The kid didn't do anything wrong. Nick Sandman, the Covington kid, he got ruthlessly berated and insulted. Threats, high-profile personalities saying they wanted to punch him in the face for doing literally nothing. This was a national story. Yet a little boy in his front yard, a man runs across the street and executes him, and the news didn't care. Local news did. But national news, it didn't matter. That was the anger. It wasn't about protests. It was about media accountability. Why won't the news talk about this? They want to make fun of a kid in a MAGA hat. And this is a really good example. This MAGA guy's response would be something like, "We would protest for the lack of media coverage for this atrocity, a lack of support for the boy's family, a lack of discussion around violence targeting different communities. We would protest because we're tired of the media lying to us." Yeah, that's what he would say. But these memes, I've seen them relentlessly, and I'm confused. I engaged in a conversation with one of the people who posted this, and I said, "I don't understand why you're trying to discredit the idea that people deserve justice. I thought you wanted justice for Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and these other individuals who lost their lives." "We do." And I said, "Then why would you post this comic that insults those who would also be asking for justice? Wouldn't you instead say, 'I'm so sorry to hear about what happened to Cannon. I'm so absolutely sad about this story. I'm here for you. Let me know what you need and let me know what you ask for in terms of justice. And I humbly ask, when we've dealt with your pain, that you would help me in my quest for justice for Breonna Taylor.'" Why would we disagree with each other? Why would we have a need for these memes to insult people who are sad about a little boy who died? Take a look at this. Another one. "I'm outraged this young white boy was killed by a black man for no reason. The media isn't covering it, and we should all demand justice. They immediately went on a statewide manhunt, found him within 24 hours, charged him with first-degree murder, and denied him bail. I don't want justice. I want black..." I'm not going to read the last one. They're just basically saying that these people don't actually want justice. They're just trying to silence Black Lives Matter. But notice how broken this meme is and how it makes literally no sense. I'm mad the media won't cover it. Yes. But then the next guy says they arrested him. The response should be burning the document about him being arrested, saying, I understand he was arrested. I'm mad the media won't highlight stories about these atrocities, but will attack another kid like Covington or highlight hoaxes from people like Justice Smollett. I'm upset that the media is playing dirty games. These memes are fake news. They're not actually trying to explain anything other than to create hard divisions between people who would probably agree for the most part. Which brings me now to the second half of this. I will absolutely call out and debunk these fake memes, and I will absolutely highlight the case of Breonna Taylor. A no-knock raid from the police in plain clothes. And the boyfriend of Breonna Taylor, I believe it was her boyfriend, didn't know it was the police and fired a shot hitting one of the cops in the leg. The cops fired back, killing Breonna Taylor. Completely innocent, accused of no wrongdoing. She lost her life. Now, this story is very complicated, but I personally believe there needs to be justice for Breonna Taylor. When you tell me agents of the state with no uniforms kick in someone's door with guns and someone legally armed tries to defend themselves, they charged this guy with like attempted murder and they literally killed Breonna Taylor, I'm going to be upset about it. But I'm also going to look into the details. And I'm going to say this. If you ask me for support in the Breonna Taylor case, because you want justice, I will say, absolutely. You think I'll get behind agents of the state killing people who are innocent? No, never going to happen. But I'll also point out that it's not so simple as just arresting the officers. Many people have posted that, arrest the officers who killed Breonna Taylor. Well, I looked into the story. I believe she deserves justice. And I believe the justice needs to go well beyond this simplistic idea of putting people in prison. Perhaps these police officers knowingly falsified the warrant. They received a no-knock warrant, kicked the door in. We have this story here. Legal panel weighs in on possible obstacles in prosecuting officers in Breonna Taylor case. Here's the challenge. When the officers kicked the door in, Walker, who was, I believe, her boyfriend, fired a shot hitting the cops. The cops argue self-defense, which killed Breonna Taylor. So you've got a complicated situation here. Ultimately, I believe the state is at fault. I don't know if we can fault the individual officers based on the surface level, analysis, the surface level legal analysis here. But I believe we need something like Breonna's law, an end to plain clothes, no-knock warrants. What do you think the average person is going to do? They have a right to bear arms. You kick my door in unannounced. I'm going to assume you're a bad guy. And then you can kill someone in response? While I understand there's a challenge here in that the police officers followed legal protocol, had a no-knock warrant, and it unfortunately resulted in the loss of life, I don't believe the system should be permitted to continue in this way. Ultimately, the point is this. Why is it easy for me to say Breonna Taylor's story is a tragedy? It must be looked into, and justice must come in some form. There's been some kinds of justice for sure, but I believe, look, I'll tell you this right now. I understand the arguments for no-knock warrants. I don't care. I don't. We have a Fourth Amendment right to be safe from illegal search and seizure or unreasonable search and seizure. And I believe if an agent of the state in any capacity is wearing street clothes, kicks my door and armed, you expect me to just stand there and be like, it may be a burglar, but what if they say they're cops? Imagine this. A crazed lunatic far leftist kicks your door in and you're like, I just heard a noise, and you grab your firearm and they yell, we're the police. You go, okay, I'll just put my weapon down and assume this person is a good guy. Or it could be some extremist lying. It could be a burglar or a criminal. Somebody wants to rob you, now knowing I can just say I'm a cop and they won't fight back. No, I'm sorry. Badges out, police on your vest, identifiable, clearly visible. And yes, they should expect homeowners that will be armed. And when they kick your door in and they say police, I don't think they should be no-knock warrants. I think they should have to knock. The police should surround the perimeter. They should then come to your door and knock and say, open up. This is the police. Give it some time and then enter with armor on, clearly visible police markings. I believe justice needs to come in the form of some kind of law or policy change. Now, in this article, they mention There may be reckless endangerment charges because one guy got shot. They fired in self-defense, but they fired like 20 times and killed Breonna Taylor. I'm not the legal expert on this one. I'm not going to tell you what should or shouldn't be done. Just give you my opinion. The point is, I will tell you this. There's no reason to make memes slamming people who are mourning the loss of a little boy. You just simply say, let's have a conversation. I'm here for you. I understand you're sad and I understand you're angry. And there's no reason to falsely to trick people. It's just ridiculous. And for everybody else, we absolutely are concerned about the police no-knock warrants killing people. Why don't we come together and talk about what we want to accomplish instead of making memes to just mock and belittle each other? I think we can. At least that's what I'm hoping to do here, right? So I think people should pay attention to the Breonna Taylor case, have a real conversation about it. I think people on the right should be more open to talking about many of these issues, and I think they are. And I think many people on the left should be more open to listening to what conservatives have to say about stories like Ken and Hinnant, and then we can make the world a better place. I'll see you all tomorrow in the next segment coming up at 10 a.m. Thanks for hanging out.